Good evening, everyone. I hope that's a pleasant Sunday evening out there for all of you. I welcome you all to the 36th edition of TLR Connect AMA show, brought to you by TLR Now. I am Dr. Priti, your host. I am based out of Muscat, Oman. I am a medico turned management professional, and I am a columnist, I am a trainer, I am an amateur painter, a blogger, and I'm presently exploring a lot of options beyond a standard 9 to 5 mundane job. TLR Now is a niche in coaching, mentoring, and training service provider, which is based out of Pune, India, and it has its chapters in Sri Lanka, Oman, Bhutan, Nepal, and they're expanding. I welcome you all once again. There are three responses to a piece of design: yes, no, and wow. Wow is the one we all aim for. And this is the ideology behind which we have today's conversation, for which we have extremely talented, highly creative, exceptionally innovative creative design director, Mr. Salim Akhtar, with us today. Salim is a media leader in transpiring creative solutions of the highest caliber. He is a master of the advertising ideas and is the main man behind brand building of names such as Cheryl's Cosmeceuticals, Gold Gym, Sun and Sand, Yahoo India, HUL, JW Marriott, and there is a long list. He is also the front runner behind the shows of Leela Arun in India and abroad. And he's got around more than 2,000 shows to his credit as technical and event director, both nationally as well as internationally. He has been associated with Lilette Dubé, Terence Lewis, Taj Mahotsav, and shows for the Indian Air Force. He has been the director of video albums for Jagjit Singh, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab, Lata Mangeshkar ji, Falguni Pathak, and again there is a long list. He is also the chief associate director for the film Godmother, The Heck, and many TV serials as well. Salim, I must say that to cover all your accomplishments and achievements, we need another session. So, I first of all welcome you to this session on the theater of life, darkness to light. I hope I haven't missed out anything important in your vast professional biography. Welcome, Salim.
Adab, Priti. And I must first thank Udayan and TLR now for bringing this session, and especially because it's very close to my heart when it comes to theater. And I'm very, very passionate about theater, and I've been doing it for the last almost 38 years now. So for me, more than anything else, this particular session is very, very important. And this introduction is far more better than any introduction right now.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much, Salim. So, we'll begin with the session now.
yeah,
Lights, camera, action. For the action part, we all see actors, the heroes, the heroines, and everybody on the silver screen, right? But we, as viewers, we generally miss out on the lights, the camera, the sets, the design, the sound, the main, the technical aspects of the final show. We are not able to see as viewers. And you are the tall man behind all these events who does the designing, the lighting, the stage setting, the sound setting, everything behind the show, you are doing it. So, and Salim, you have got a career spanning for more than 3 decades now. So,
yeah.
please tell us that how did it all begin for you? Was it your passion that eventually got converted into profession? Or was there any special incidents in your life that has been the game changer? Salim.
Uh, so first thing is that for me, I never realized when it was a passion for me and when it was a profession for me, because they both are same at the same plane. Secondly, because my father was a director, and he was a director chief also of a film called Mughal Azam with K. Asif, when he did a lot of films. So for me, it was a very natural thing to be in this creative field. Uh, what really got me to theater, and at that point of time, I didn't realize it, which I now, when I look back, and I realize that I've really, that was an incident today. When I look back, I feel that was an incident which actually did a lot of trick on me.
Yeah, please tell us
Uh,
about it.
I left Bombay for a small trip to a place called Saharanpur, and so my uncle was a doctor there, and his compounder, his marriage was there in the village. So वहां से कुछ एक 2.5-3 घंटे पे there was a village where they were supposed to go and have a, because these so we went there, and some of the people, they knew that I'm basically from the film industry, because of my father. They knew that I was from the industry.
Okay.
So one evening they said, "Okay, come, let's we'll give you some interesting thing to see." So I said, "Chalo." So we went there. There was this in the middle of the field, side of that, there was a small house, and uske bilkul bahar, like a eight inch platform by 10 by 8 ka, and there were 4 poles. There were some lights on that. There were 2 lights on the ground,
Mhm.
and I thought, what is this setting? And probably one of those folk things that could happen. So the guy came on the stage, old guy, he must be around 60 or something, and he had 2 more actors with him, and he went extempo, and he did a complete stand up over there. Okay, so उसमें villages की बातें, उसमें politics की बातें, उसमें लोगों की शादियों की बातें, जिसकी शादी हो रही है, नहीं हो रही है, क्या हो रहा है. So there
Oh,
was a
God.
complete take on all the गाँव का thing, and
Oh,
that got over. We all left. I really thoroughly enjoyed myself, and that was my first theater experience, a folk theater experience. So we went, and then the next day in the shadi, that guy also had come. That same performer had come to the this. So हम लोग बातें कर रहे थे, and just before that, when we were returning in the night, when we were returning after the show, we were returning in the night to the house. I passed that same place again. Okay, there on the stage, on that platform of stage, एक दिया जल रहा था बीचों बीच स्टेज के. ठीक है,
okay.
एक रोशनी चल रही थी स्टेज पे, कोई नहीं था, अंधेरा हो गया था. जब मैं इसे दूसरे दिन जब मैं मिला, तो मैंने उससे कहा कि बड़ा मजा आया, दिस दैट, आई रियली एंजॉयड योर शो, इट वाज सो मच फन. बोले हाँ साहब ये हम कर लेते हैं. So then I said, but I want to ask you something. I said, why was that after the show there was a diya on the stage? Why did you keep that? He said, देखिए, that is a place from where I speak to people.
Lovely.
It's a communication, it's a learning, it's a give and take. And a place which gives you so much of information, so much of education, so much of learning, how can I leave it in the dark?
True.
मैं अंधेरा नहीं रखता, क्योंकि
Beautiful.
मुझे फिर वो रोशनी पे फिर जाना है, मुझे फिर लोगों से बातें करनी है, इसलिए मैं वो रोशनी हमेशा ऑन रखता हूँ. I keep that light on. Now, just, it is so coincidental that that particular thing, it just stayed in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
When I traveled to Bombay again, there's a place called Bhaidas in Bombay, and उस वहाँ का एक टेक्नीशियन था, इसका नाम शंकर हुआ करता था.
Mm-hmm.
And I suddenly realized that when I went to the theater, right in the middle of the stage, there was this stand on which there was a bulb and the light was on.
Okay.
So I asked him again, I said, क्यों छोड़ा ये? बोला, साहब, you can't keep the stage dark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this incident repeated again when I did another trip to Goa. They have a theater called Theatra.
Okay.
Okay. Theatra में क्या होता है? It's a very folkish thing. But before the play could start, they had one light on. There was nothing happening on the stage. People were coming, sitting, talking, doing stuff, but that one light was on. And then I realized that how important it is that we, as creative people, or as people who are working today, that one light stayed on. And every time I went to the theater, it reminded me that जब भी मैं थिएटर में वापस आऊंगा, मेरी रोशनी जल रही होगी. मैंने जो लाइट ऑन रखी है वो हमेशा ऑन रहेगी. And today, if you see COVID, I think all of us, we're sitting at home, but we have left a light on at wherever place we are working or wherever what we are doing. We will be going back to that light again. So I think that really transformed my life in theater and as a creative person.
Yes, like they say that if there is darkness everywhere, you can be the light and you can show the path. That's very very
Absolutely.
beautifully expressed, Salim. Thank you so much. And absolutely, like as I always say, and like in your case also, and like you were mentioning in the beginning, you are only one decision away from a completely different life. So I totally agree with this, and the light has to go on. So this, I with this, I move to the second segment of our session, and theaters create life on stage, right? And there's theater in life and there is life in theater. So what has been your experience in working with theaters, the learnings, the experiences and the learnings, have they, do they transform lives in general? And is there any advice would you like to give to the budding artists or the wannabe artists? I'm sure somebody must be watching the show right now, regarding their career decisions on theatrics in specific. Salim.
See, theater for me, it has transformed me drastically as a person also, and as a creative person also. What it also did, I was just sharing a quote with that said that everybody needs to do theater,
Right.
so that so that you understand what you're doing, and you'll understand also what you need to do, what you need to become when you do something. अब अगर हम थिएटर में एज एन एक्टर देखें या हम एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग देखें, अगर हम उसको पैशन के तौर पे भी देखें या उसको प्रोफेशन के तौर पे भी देखें, यू वुड रियलाइज दैट थिएटर हैज is not just meant for actors, it is meant for everybody.
Everyone.
Okay,
True.
for everyone. It is so important. Because unless you understand that, if you realize in each day's conversation, in every day's conversation, you realize that we do have so much of histrionics about ourselves. Our moods change, our attitudes change, we change with people, we change with our actions, we change our stances, we change. So what are we doing? That's theater. That's live theater. That's happening in your life all the time. है ना? So it is very important. मेरे हिसाब से it's almost like a military training, that if you want to polish yourself, if you want to really shine as a personality, if you want to correct your aesthetics, if your dressing sense is concerned, or your vocabulary is concerned, or your mental literature is concerned, all this can be achieved in theater. Okay, all this can be achieved. Yes, all this can be achieved. अगर आप सोच रहे हैं कि मेरे में लाइक इफ आई फील कि एज अ कॉर्पोरेट आई फील कि भाई मैं तो एग्जीक्यूटिव काम करता हूँ, पर मेरे में एक हुनर है सेट को समझना या सेट बनाना या सेट डिजाइन करना, तब भी थिएटर आपके लिए खुला हुआ है. Okay, you can just come and do that. That's not a problem at all. Secondly, what is the most important thing that happens in theater is it builds like a community.
True.
हम सब बेसिकली एक कम्युनिटी की तरह हैं. जैसे गांव में क्या होता है कि सरपंच होता है, फिर उसके साथ के वो मुखिया होते हैं, ये होते हैं, वो होते हैं, फिर वो कम्युनिटी होती है, वो सब बैठते हैं, बातें करते हैं. थिएटर बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है. थिएटर का डायरेक्टर है, उसके डिजाइनर्स हैं, उसके एक्टर्स हैं, सब बैक स्टेज है. हम सब मिलकर किसी भी प्ले को कई बार हम पढ़ते हैं, बहुत पढ़ते हैं, हम सब समझते हैं, हम सब उस कैरेक्टर को समझते हैं जो हमें करने होते हैं, हम सब अपने काम को समझते हैं जो वो प्ले डिमांड करता है, उसमें डिजाइनर्स आते हैं, सब कुछ आते हैं. तो ये तो बहुत ही स्टेपिंग स्टोन है किसी भी करियर के लिए, परफॉर्मिंग करियर के लिए सबसे बड़ा स्टेपिंग स्टोन है. ये वैसा है that when you want to become an engineer, you spend the 3 years, 2 years of your time to become an engineer. That is exactly what theater does to you. That if you really want to train yourself, if you really want to pursue this career, if you go to theater, it will turn you completely 360 as a personality.
I agree. I completely agree.
Okay. मैं आपको एक छोटा सा अपना किस्सा बताता हूँ. क्या हुआ कि during the 10th standard also, I was a tall boy in the school also. I was 6'2". After that, I suddenly gained another 6 inches and I was nearly 6'8". And I didn't know how to handle myself, समझ में नहीं आता, because all these comments and people looking at you, too much of attention, this, that. So I was doing theater at that time. I was doing professionally theater. I started in 85. 82 was that stage, gaon wala stage ka thing. Then one day I said, yaar, what is it that I need to do to correct myself, correct my complexes? So I told my director, I said, I want to act. So he said, sure. So मैंने कहा, हाँ, मेरे को acting करनी है.
जी.
अब मेरी जो सारी कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज थी ना, जो मैं डरता था लोगों को मिलने की, मुझे तब एहसास हुआ कि कितना मेरे लिए एजुकेटिंग हो गया when I stepped onto the stage. And Prithvi Theatre, I don't know whether you have seen Prithvi Theatre. If people who have seen Prithvi Theatre would realize that the stage is a thrust stage and the audience is almost 2 feet away from you. It's that close as a stage. So the moment I came on the stage and, people saw me, that 6'8" man on stage, and there was this whole kind of thing on stage and all. But that moment, it just changed my perception of life. It just opened me up. After that, I did a lot of plays where I acted and I did a lot of big roles and stuff like that. But that was my moment, which opened me up as a person, as a person who had complexes about his height. I did not pursue it as acting as a career, but I was more of a technician, more of a director. So that is what I tell people, that if you have any kind of complexes, if you have any kind of hesitation about yourself, if you have any kind of doubt about your personality or you lack confidence, theater is something that will teach you how to get over it.
Beautiful.
That's been my taking of this entire thing.
Absolutely. Salim, in fact, I read it somewhere that Picasso had once said that theater or art or any kind of performing art, it washes away from the soul, the dust of everyday life. So theater is really, really very, very important. And and Salim, we are seeing that these days, we are seeing that we talked of this pandemic, the change is the new normal. And we have no choice but to adapt to the online and the digital technology and the platforms, and so much things are coming up. And so, what has been the impact of this pandemic on the world of entertainment in specific, and how is your industry? How has your industry adjusted to it specifically? And are we anticipating more in future? Salim.
Honestly, Priti, for us, especially for the theater people, it's not going to change. We can't change much.
Right.
For the simple reason because theater only works with an audience. Because
Mm-hmm.
theater, unless the theater has that audience, unless that people who are in front of you, who are watching you, if they are not there, then there is no theater. Because otherwise, it is films. You're watching at your home, you're watching on your television, you're watching on your smartphones. But theater is the only medium where you need an audience. An actor needs an audience to interact and to communicate. Okay. Having said that, what I'm also watching, and interestingly, is that India, the other problem we were facing is that most of the time the plays that we were doing were either English plays adapted in or translated from the American or European scripts.
Right.
We have many writers here in this field, especially in the theater field, who can write theater, who can write plays.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened is, interestingly, that we have realized that we need to now write our content. We need to write content, and we need to write content for the digital purpose, where we don't need anybody's permission in terms of royalties or theater royalties or stuff like that. We don't have to do that, but still we can do a lot of stuff which needs to be more original work. That's the only change which has come. Otherwise, we will have to go back to the theater. We will need the audience. Theater can't be done without an audience. So ये कहना कि हम लोगों ने बहुत changes किए नहीं, we are not going to do too many changes. The only thing changes नहीं है, there's an addition which is happening. The addition is that people have realized they need to write new content. They need to write new pieces. Two people can perform. We did Ilarun and our group. We did two performances. One, we did a play called Shabd Leela, which is apparently, I think it's on the YouTube. It's called Shabd Leela. That's a play based on Dr. Dharmavir Bharti's, two plays, Andhayug and one more play, and his love letters to his second wife. Okay, so it's a combination of that. That we performed with Varun Badola and Rajeshwari and Ilaru. We did that live. Okay, we did that session 1 hour where we took the snippets of the play and we performed that. Then we did another one which was completely based on lockdown, where two sisters, they're talking about their stories, their life. Now this is the material which is freshly written by Ilaharun, especially for the digital medium, especially from the theater perspective. This is the original piece which is written for the people to watch. Okay, so that is what has transpired now in this lockdown.
Absolutely.
Besides that, we will do our shootings as normal, what we would need to do, because ultimately आपको जो entertainment पहुंचेगा वो हमको तो shoot करना ही पड़ेगा. और थिएटर हमारे लिए वही है कि जब तक ऑडियंस नहीं होगी, जब तक हम एग्जिस्ट नहीं करेंगे. और स्पेशली टेक्नीशियंस के लिए तो वो थिएटर ही स्पेस है. मैं लाइट कहाँ करूंगा, मैं सेट कहाँ लगाऊंगा, मैं कॉस्ट्यूम कब पहनूंगा. तो मेरे लिए तो वो थिएटर का जो रूप है, that face, it will never change. It will never change for any of the theater guys at this point of time. So we all have been talking about it. We all have been sharing our thoughts about it. But commonly, everybody felt, we need an audience for this. Yeah, we can't do anything else.
Yes, because there is that touch when you see your people around in front of you.
Absolutely. See that हमारा तो सारा मामला ही उस reaction पे है.
Yes. Yes,
See, we get these one show when we do where we get amazing responses. People clap and people sometimes laugh loudly. They react things, and there are certain same play and certain times the audience is not reacting at all, and they were wondering, "Arey, आज क्या गड़बड़ कर दिया?" So we all go back to backstage and says, "Guys, pep it up. People are not reacting. Let's do a little more this that." तो हमारी वो जद्दोजहद चलती रहती है crowd theater करते हुए. ये एक हमारा एस्पेक्ट है जो चेंज नहीं हो सकता, बदल नहीं सकता.
But don't worry, Salim. Right now in lockdown, we all are surviving on entertainment only. We cannot
या
do
या मुझे
anything else.
पता है, हमारे बगैर लॉकडाउन बहुत भारी पड़ता.
Exactly, exactly. Everything is there. We are blessed to have people like you around who are there to help us in such time. Otherwise, people will go crazy, definitely. And yes,
Yeah.
yes, the process of change. Yes, I know the process of change is difficult. But the change is hardest at the beginning, and they say it is messiest in the middle, and it is the best at the end. So best is yet to come, and we've got to
You
keep
have to
our
cut.
cool, and we have to have little patience more.
क्योंकि इसमें मैं
So,
थोड़ा सा इंटर करूंगा कि इसमें एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो थिएटर आपको सिखाता है, और
जी,
शायद हम जैसे लोगों के लिए बहुत जरूरी है, पेशेंस.
exactly,
Theater
exactly.
is the acting and creative field is the only field which teaches you how to be patient, how not to get frustrated, how not to get depressed. If you have not learned that,
Mhm.
probably you may do things which are not required. But the
Mhm.
moment you've understood that patience and staying calm is the best way to work in this field. तो
Exactly.
अगर तुमने पूछा था कि इस फील्ड में आने के लिए, मेरा सबसे पहला ये है सबसे कि जो भी एक्टर, जो भी टेक्नीशियन, जो भी इस फील्ड में आना चाहता है, वो ये मान के चले कि ये बहुत टफ फील्ड है, इसमें बहुत पेशेंस की जरूरत है, इसमें बहुत काम करने की जरूरत होती है, ये इतना आसान नहीं है. कोई भी
Mhm.
चीज आसान नहीं है, बट ये इतना आसान नहीं है. इसके लिए आपको मन थोड़ा बड़ा करना पड़ेगा और दिल थोड़ा बड़ा करके काम करना पड़ेगा. You'll have to really put your heart into it. And as I said, when I could answer back to your question, is that when it was passion, when it was profession, you don't know. You don't know.
Mhm.
So you need to see it as passion and profession both together.
Both
It
together.
can't be started with the passion and with the profession. No, it has to be together.
That's right. Lovely. Thank you so much. And Salim, we see a glass mirror to see our faces, right? But we use theater to see our souls. Is it right? Yeah. And yet we have a popular misconception that the performing art or the art is a mainstream career. So a lot of viewers right now, I'm sure they're having this dilemma and this query in their minds right now, running in their minds, like how could they make a career out of theatrics or performing arts? So would you throw some light on it, like how one can make a career in performing arts, and is there any specific skill or attitude, a skill set or attitude which are required to pursue theatrics?
Absolutely. I'm glad that you asked this question because it's so very important. A lot of time people think acting is something कुछ नहीं अगर आ रहा, if you're not doing anything in life, become an actor.
Underlo.
You know, कर लेंगे. Acting क्या है? कर लेंगे. और बाकी के काम ये हो जाएंगे, कर लेंगे. No, no, ऐसा नहीं है. It's like any other field. You really need a proper training for it.
Exactly.
There are proper programs. There is a institution called National School of Drama,
Do they have a
which
particular course,
teaches.
right? Which is
Yeah, it's a
standard for
three.
everyone?
Sorry,
It has a standard length of duration of program, which is like
it's a three
mandatory for
years.
everyone.
It's a three. It's a three
3 years.
years 3 years course. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a 3 years course in about theater. In theater, what needs to be done. So it teaches you everything from your craft as an actor, if you want to be a director, if you want to be a technician, if you want to be a designer, or whatever that you choose to do. Because those 3 years they train you to do that. Okay, that is one. Then
Mhm.
there is another institute called FTII, which is a
Right.
film training institute. Uh, that is again an institute which is only you can do it once you are a graduate or something that you want to pursue over there. So,
Okay.
so education is also very important. Okay,
Okay.
even if you want to join NSD, you need to be educated. You just can't walk some one day and say कि मैं कर लूँगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा. You need to
Right.
be there. So these two institutes, एक तरफ थिएटर और एक तरफ फिल्म
Mhm.
इंस्टीट्यूट, ये आपको ट्रेन करता है बाकी के डिपार्टमेंट्स में ज्वाइन करने के लिए. तो
Okay.
थिएटर के लिए और एक्टर के लिए सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है थिएटर करना.
Mhm.
थिएटर एक ऐसी जगह है that's the only platform which
Mhm.
teaches you everything out there. The first and foremost thing it teaches you is how to read a script.
Mhm.
How do you read a script? how do you understand a script? What does it mean to read a script? How an actor prepares his character? What does it mean to have a body language? Okay, what it means to have a voice which needs to reach the audience. How do you understand the voice in terms of its expression? Okay, it teaches you how one should be with their colleagues, with their subordinates, with their co-actors. All this training happens in theater.
Okay.
It's a process which I feel, and every actor, whoever wishes to be an actor or a technician or somebody from the field, needs to do these courses or needs to join these courses and then meet the right people to do the stuff. आगे करियर में क्या होगा ये तो किसी को नहीं मालूम हमें से, मगर ये जरूर है कि that is always said that for any profession you need a training. So does the creative field, so does an actor, so does a technician. It is important. It is not something that one morning you get up and say, today I'm going to be an actor, so I leave everything and I go back because people tell me I look like Bachchan Saab or I look like Shah Rukh Khan, so I'm ready for it to be an actor. No, nahi, aisa nahi hota. Secondly, what theatre does also, very, very importantly, see, there are a lot of times we may have a lot of perceptions about our own personality. हमें लगता है कि अरे मैं बच्चन साहब की जैसा तो मैं पहुंच ही जाऊंगा, है ना, दिलीप साहब जैसे एक्टिंग तो मैं कर ही लूंगा जी. मगर थिएटर एक ऐसी जगह है that teaches you to understand that what you really want to do. Do you think you have that in you as an actor?
So is there an assessment criteria? Sorry to interrupt.
That's a self-assessment. No, there's a self-assessment. Because क्या होता है, when you're working in collection and you know when 10 people are working and when you're watching your other actors act, that's a time you realize how much work you need to do, how much within you it is there, whether it's really there in you to be an actor or it is something else that you want to become. So it becomes a guiding force for you to decide that maybe, I don't want to be an actor. I suddenly realize I enjoy doing lights, or I enjoy designing or doing costumes. So it also helps you to
actor
बनने तो सभी एक्टर आते हैं, टेक्नीशियन तो कोई नहीं बन जाता. मेरे 35 साल में मैंने आज तक किसी को नहीं सुना कि who told me कि we came to the industry to become a director. That I decided to be a cameraman or I decided to be a photographer. No, nobody does that. They all come to become an actor. That is when the industry make you realize that, boss, you're not supposed to be an actor, but you're good at something else.
You got another talent, yeah. You got another talent.
This is the reason why I suggest people and I tell people the theater and the industry, if you are aware of yourself, if you're being honest with yourself, you will be able to understand the right path for you. So it is very important to for every actor and technician to understand this. It's not going to be something that you just wake up one morning and say, I'm an actor. No, it's not.
So that is the attitude component you've answered also,
Yeah, and that's very rightly said, Priti. I didn't wanted to use that, but you realize when I'm talking this, it's an attitude by itself.
Yes.
So very rightly you said that, you pointed out that it is an attitude. इसीलिए कई बार अगर आप देखेंगे, there are a lot of people which you will see around you, which has a certain inbuilt quality. They have an attitude from a different creative person to this creative field. From a corporate guy to this, they have a different attitude. They have a different life positionings. They have a different stance, stature. That is the attitude which is required for an actor.
True.
That whole idea, that whole knack for it, to do it. Yeah. So it's very important.
Yeah, and eventually it is your attitude and not the aptitude, which we say shall determine your altitude.
Yeah, absolutely, Priti. Yeah, true.
Thank you, Salim. And I also note that you are running an organization called Tall Man Vision. And based on the TLR team's recommendation, I went through the website on recommendation of the senior most person. He said you just visit the website and you will not want to come out. And he was so right in saying that it's such an impressive and such a catchy page. I must say it's a sea of ideas in itself. You would not want to come out. Nonetheless, I checked out the website as well. And would you please tell us more about this organization, the kind of services you're offering, and what all work you've done under this organization? Salim?
See, the time when I started doing theater and all that, I was so lucky. Um, in 2000, I got two opportunities: one to become a director, and secondly to do the technical aspect in theater.
Mhm.
There was a launch of Madhuri Dixit products for Imami.
Right.
Okay,
I know that.
so Alec Padamsi was handling Imami as an account. Okay, as an agency, he was handling the Imami account,
Mhm.
and so there was this product launch of Madhuri Dixit. So
Mhm.
I had an opportunity to work with in theater,
Mhm.
and I did work with a lot of big people. Then I worked with Astad Debu. I worked with Subi Samuel, who's a photographer. I worked with Terence Lewis. Terence and me, we did the first show of his when he wanted to showcase his work. That was his
Mhm.
first show that I designed. First two shows I designed for him. Uh, then we did Cheryl's as a brand,
Yeah.
which is a cosmetic brand. We did work for from a digital perspective. Hindustan Unilever Limited. They had this Kisan brand, which you've seen all over across.
Yeah.
So they were doing some live stuff. So we did the digital films for them at that point of
Mhm.
time. Okay. Then we did Golgym when it came to India. So we
Mhm.
have been taking a lot of brand work, consultation of brands, designing and designing events,
Mhm.
executing events. Especially when we want to do complete brand work is what we have done for a lot of these clients. So
Okay.
my agency specializes in as a brand consulting agency, which does a lot of brand work. We market for others. So whether it be a digital platform, whether it be a film platform or any other platform, and there I direct, I conceptualize all my films, which is the ad films and corporate films. I do that, and I have a team
Yes.
which does the designing work, and I have a team which does the digital work. So we have a
Mhm.
whole gamut of work which is there. So that's what Tallman Vision does. And anyway, thank you for the compliment that you paid for me for the website because we
Yeah,
really
it's a
had a tough
beautiful
time
sight
doing
with that hat. There's a catchy little person sitting in the hat and with a, this thing, one leg down and one leg on that, and that the weight, the whole. I mean, I'll suggest the viewers to just go and check allmanvision.com.
I'm
It's a
glad. Thank
beautiful
you
site.
so
You
much,
don't want
Priti.
to come.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Salim.
much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And yes, and again, talking of the creativity, we talk of creativity and we generally associate art with it, Salim. Right? And while I'm sure that the other professions also need a lot of creative skills to perform their jobs, I believe. And but specifically talking about the corporate world these days, like the one I belong to, how do you think that theatrics are going to be helpful or useful to the corporate world specifically?
Priti, I'm so glad you took this question because I remember almost 15 years back, okay, almost 15 years back, it was never heard that,
Mhm.
we would do a theater for the corporates.
Mhm.
Uh, Earlier, the corporates would hire a theater group and to do a show for their people, okay?
Mhm.
But I remember it was in Hindustan Unilever Limited, uh, where we took up a play and we got all the people from the office itself.
Mhm.
We auditioned them and we
Okay.
did the theater with them. Okay,
Mhm.
and we did a workshop of around 15 days. So after the office hours,
Mhm.
there was a small theater there. After office hours, they used to sit and do the readings, and we used to prepare them and tell them, "देखो ऐसे बात मत करो, ऐसे बोलो, ये exercise करो, वो करो." So I think we did this 15 years back, and today if you go to see that corporates would want these theatrical things. A, because it helps you develop your personality. It
Exactly.
gives you confidence. It opens up your voice. Okay.
Yeah, it
It
does.
helps you understand your as a marketing person, as a salesperson. And if I'm not wrong, Preeti, you are from you change your profession from dental to the
Yes.
corporate, and you
Yes.
have been in the corporate, and I'm sure you have done your workshops with in theater.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I would like that more than me, if you can put a thought process to it, because see, I'll talk from a different perspective, but because you participated in it, you will
Yes.
tell us more about what was your experience when you did that theater workshop in your organization.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Salim. First, I would say this is so nostalgic thinking about all that, because I joined my esteemed organization, I think around, I think 11, 12 years, 11 years back. And, what I feel is, like, we're talking of so much of creativity. You cannot use up creativity. वो खत्म नहीं होती है. The more you use, the more creative you'll become. So, as a part of our corporate training, that 1 year mandatory training my organization gives us to all the executives who join, like let's say 500 of us join for a year. So, we are supposed to undergo a week-long training in theatrics, and for this purpose, there is a respected member or the faculty who comes from the National School of Drama itself, and that's itself an honor for my organization and me as well. And they are invited, the one person is invited, and the kind of exposure we get in that 1 week is totally incomparable to anything else, I'm telling you. And we used to be I mean, I'm talking about in general, I specifically, we used to be so surprised at our own potentials, like what all we could do. And now, I mean, so many years down the line, probably not in the beginning, but many years down the line, we could, we are able to, like you said, voice modulation, the clarity, the confidence, handling the marketing, all these things we are really able to handle now in our, real lives at the work front. So thank you, you brought it up. It's got a lot of nostalgic memories to me as well. Thank you so much.
See, very rightly, because kya hai, which we realize that, being so competitive, the whole thing has become so competitive, and there are so many people, eyeing your own job, and there are 10 other people standing behind you. It has become very important for you to have a pleasant personality. You need to present yourself properly. You need to understand what is your dressing. You need to understand how well you can articulate with your voice. Marketing is all about sales. Marketing is all about how you articulate. Also, it
Yes.
also develops your mind towards understanding and listening. See, one important aspect of any profession or anywhere, and especially I emphasize in theater, is your observation and your listening power should be strong.
Mhm.
अगर आपकी नजर देखने की शार्प होती है और
Right.
आप सुनते हैं, तभी आप उसका सही तरीके से जवाब दे सकेंगे.
That's true. Listening is
अगर
important. It's a very big
Because what
part.
happens is, most of the time we are in so much hurry to reply, and we are preparing our answers in our head before even completing getting the real question to us, that we forget what the person is actually asking, or what is he trying to say, or what is the communication actually happening there.
Absolutely.
हम बहुत जल्दबाजी में रहते हैं अपनी बात कहने में. सामने वाले की बात सुनने में हम इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं रखते, कहने में ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट रखते हैं. जबकि थिएटर आपको कहता है लिसन,
Listen.
ऑब्जर्व.
Mhm.
इसीलिए एक्टिंग इज नथिंग बट रिएक्टिंग.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
रियल लाइफ में भी, हम नॉर्मल लाइफ में भी, जब तक अगर मैं एक्टर नहीं हूं और अगर मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूं, तो मैं आपको सुनता हूं, तभी मैं जवाब देता हूं.
Exactly. True.
अगर मैं ये नहीं करूंगा तो ये टू वे नहीं होगा.
Mm-hmm.
हम उसी के हिसाब से अपना मूड बनाते हैं, हम गुस्सा करते हैं, हम रिएक्शंस देते हैं. It is only the reaction which is an action. So you
Yes.
have to. So acting is nothing but reacting. It's reacting. So it's very important that. So which is why corporates में ये बहुत बहुत important है कि
Yes.
अगर ये हर आदमी करे, अपने सेशन में. Just like you said that when you did, it's a very nostalgic thing. Also, it will help you in your entire career. It's not just one organization, but ये एक करने से आपकी जिंदगी भर की बहुत सारी चीजें सही हो जाएगी.
Yes. And
So that's it.
continuing this, what you're saying, like we have a very beautiful recommendation from a viewer there. She happens to be a known close friend of mine as well, and she's a teacher. And she suggests that theatrics must be then it should be made a mandatory subject in school as well. And since she says that it seems like an important 20th century skill, so we'll be getting
Absolutely, but honestly, I'm glad that she's written that. But today, if you see, most of the schools they are putting emphasis on theater. There are workshops happening. There are things happening. I remember we did there's a very interesting incident. I tell you, okay, if I have the time.
Yes, please.
She's talking about education and stuff. There was a play of called Caucasian Chalk Circle. Okay, Russian play. And there's a school called World Mahindra School in Pune, Port. It is on a hillock. There, I was called to do this play. There was a director from abroad, and I was a technician from here. So they asked me, and they said, okay, look, we want to do this production, but we need our kids, our students to be a part of it. How can we do that? How can we achieve that? And here's a huge campus. So what we did was, we did not do the play inside an auditorium. We did it on the entire campus. Okay? With every scene, the audience moved with the actors. Okay? And what I did was that I stationed, from the technical perspective, I stationed two kids. So it was like a relay where a scene would end and that one person would run with a dimmer board, come to the other group, hand over the group, they attach and the lights were on. Okay. So the kids enjoyed it immensely because they were doing it. I was not doing anything. I was just monitoring it. I just designed it and I gave it to them. I said, now it's your game, your baby. The scene starts. You have to decide whether this light is going to be at 20%, 50%, 100%. I leave it up to you. And trust me, they just flowed with the whole production. See, so that is also the thing which I realized. The theater by itself gives you so much of confidence and also gives you the authority to do what you think at that point of time to be done. Because एक बार तीसरी बेल बजी, okay, और थिएटर का पर्दा खुला, उसके बाद में डायरेक्टर की कोई अहमियत नहीं रह जाती. वो एक्टर स्टेज पे खड़ा है, वो टेक्नीशियन जो बूथ में बैठा है, वो डिसाइड करते हैं कि प्ले कैसे जाएगा. So can you imagine that there is no retake? अगर मैंने गलती करी तो मैंने कर दी. No retake. So जो गलती मैंने कर दी और जो चीज मैंने अच्छी करी उसको मुझे याद रखना है और अगली बार उसको रिप्रोड्यूस करना है. So can you imagine how much confidence you can gain from this? And there's nobody to tell you कि तुमने गलती करी.
Yeah, like exactly. I was telling you about my experience. I now remember that play was Chief Ki Dawat. I don't know how many of the viewers and they're aware of this show, this play. This was a very famous play by Bhisham Sahni, who happens to be the elder brother of Balraj Sahni, the legendary actor. Yeah. So he had written this Chief Ki Dawat, and for that NSD faculty took a lot of auditions, and thankfully I was selected to do the role of that mother. So at an age of around 25, I was doing the role of a 70-year-old lady. And actually speaking, the voice had to be changed, the makeup had to be changed, the attire had to be simple. I had to get a ragged cloth from my own house to wear to give it a natural look, like a old lady and all, ignored lady. So that whole thing, when we did it, when we used to do the rehearsals, it was different. And when we actually did it on the stage, I was not able to see people in front of me because there was a lot of lights falling on your face. So you do not know the cues. You do not know the body language. You do not know anything. So whatever we were doing on the stage, that came out brilliantly, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so that was again nostalgic. I just wanted to add.
इसमें एक बात मुझे और याद आई कि ये जो जब हम स्टेज पे होते हैं ना, हम कहते हैं कि हमें ऑडियंस की जरूरत है. अच्छा, वो एक्सपीरियंस के साथ भी होता है कि जब आदमी लगातार एक्टिंग करता रहता है तो उसको ऑडियंस नजर आती है, पर फिर भी मोस्ट ऑफ द एक्टर्स दे डोंट लुक इनटू द आई ऑफ एन ऑडियंस. दे नेवर डू दैट. ठीक है. और ज्यादातर क्या है कि आप पे इतनी रोशनी होती है तो आपको पता नहीं, पर आप किस चीज पे डिपेंड करते हैं, उस रिएक्शन पे डिपेंड करते हैं जो आप सुनते हैं.
Yes. The clapping.
अगेन आपके कान इतने शार्प हो जाते हैं और वो रिएक्शंस आपको मिलते हैं कि आपको
Yes.
समझ में आता है कि आपका सुर कहाँ जा रहा है, आप कैसा परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, क्या जरूरत है आपको चेंज करने की. सो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, प्रीति, दैट यू नो दिस एक्सपीरियंसेस व्हिच यू फेस्ड, यू
Yes.
रियलाइज्ड द रिहर्सल क्या था और शो क्या हो रहा था,
Exactly.
यू नो.
Both were good, but yes, the final product which came out, because there was no retake. So
करेक्ट.
the guy who was acting as my son also, and in the end, he was supposed to lift me in his arms and take a swirl with happiness, something that was some last shot, and he actually swirled around and swirled around and swirled around, and I was like, my head was and that actually brought us lot of accolades because that appeared so natural to the
Yeah,
audience, and they
yeah,
thought that it was all part of the play, and but we did it on the spot that time. So it was again
absolutely.
a wonderful experience. When you do it finally, it's totally different.
इससे एक और भी चीज आपको समझ में आती है आपके एक्सपीरियंस से कि इवन यू नीड टू बी स्पॉन्टेनियस, दैट इज
Yes.
अ वर्ड कॉल्ड इम्प्रोवाइजेशन.
Yes. True.
ओके, जिसका हम अक्सर थिएटर में इस्तेमाल करते हैं कि
Yeah.
इम्प्रोवाइज करो, इम्प्रोवाइज. इफ
Yes.
यू
And
सी
it was from that time,
इन,
I guess.
yeah, and in your
Earlier,
real life also, in your
yes.
real life also there are situations you need to improvise. So can you imagine if I am doing theater and I
Mm-hmm.
get the training to understand what is improvisation,
Mm-hmm.
then what benefit you can achieve by doing it anywhere else.
Absolutely. True.
So that is the reason I'm saying कि जब भी आप बात करेंगे ना, उसका कहीं ना कहीं अंश थिएटर से जुड़ा है और वो ऐसा
Yeah.
आपको ट्रेन करेगा कि आपको जिंदगी भर काम आएगा.
Bilkul, bilkul. And taking this thought forward, like it's an independent discussion in itself, I'm sure. But here I would like to ask you, like, are there any specific program? Is there any list of programs you have in your mind that corporate people can use? And like, would you recommend the corporate world in specific? Like, and how will that help them grow as an organization?
नहीं,
Any?
जैसे अभी हमने कहा कि एक तो बॉडी लैंग्वेज वेरी
Yes.
इंपॉर्टेंट,
Mm-hmm.
वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन very
Mm-hmm.
important, improvisations very important, and the observation and reaction of
Mm-hmm.
listening. Okay, these are four things which are very very important for any corporate who wants to better himself or who wants to make a better create
Right.
a better impression on his team as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
as a individual, and
Mm-hmm.
for his growth as a executive or anything that he wishes to do. So अगर ये चार चीजें आप करते हैं
So
तो
do they get to choose it? So do
sorry.
they get to choose it like a bucket list? We
No,
can
no,
choose.
no,
Is
no,
that a
no, no,
bucket list?
no.
You can choose from that?
नहीं नहीं, I these four things which I told you, this should be done as a mandatory for any
Mhm.
corporate guy. Okay, you can't say कि मैं
Okay.
अच्छा I won't do the body language because मेरी तो body अच्छी है. No, no, it makes a
नहीं,
difference. So you need to do that. You
बिल्कुल.
need to learn how to improvise. You need to learn how to use your voice. How do you articulate it? How do you modulate it? What is it that you really need to do? When do you need to go up? When you need to keep it down? How do you need to keep a voice which is, if you hear that voice, sometimes you say तुम्हारी आवाज में बड़ा एक मिठास है. You see, you hear these people saying,
Yes.
या तुम्हारी जब जब तुम बात करते हो तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे तुम स्माइल कर रहे हो.
हाँ.
These are things which we hear at times. कई बार वो लोग कहते हैं यार तुम हंसते हो ना तो तुम्हारी आंखें हंसती है.
Talking to the
है
eyes.
ना. या तो ये सारी चीजें थिएटर आपको सिखाता है. और ये आप सोच के देखिए कि जब आप कोई कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग या मार्केटिंग या सेल्स की जो अगर आप कर रहे हैं उसमें ये चीजें कितनी कारगर होगी, कितना हाउ मच बेनिफिशियल इट विल बी दैट यू नो दिस nuances and how to play around with it, how to use it, when to use it,
Yes,
what
absolutely.
would it what would it do to you if you were
Agree.
to use these techniques in your day-to-day work.
Yes.
So these four things are the very important. इसके बगैर नहीं हो सकता. Then there's another thing which we do is the physical part of it, where we are talking about how you train your body also for a stamina. You build your stamina. Okay, body की flexibility, stamina. Because if you see, there are times nowadays. There was a time when there was a job which was actually 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Now that has changed.
That's
It's
strange.
no more 9 to 5.
No, no, no,
I've
not at
seen
all.
people in the corporate telling me that I had a meeting till 8:30 in the night and I
Yes.
was working till 9 in the night.
The
And then I've
workload.
seen people, yeah, and I've seen people on the flights. They do this 1 day thing, and night they're sitting and making a presentation because kya hai, they need tomorrow morning I have a presentation to make, so I have to prepare it now. So there is no end to it. But for
Yes.
that, if you are a theater person or if you do theater, what the physical exercises do is make you understand your body and build a stamina around it
Yes.
so
Mhm.
that you are alive, you're active when you're doing something. So even if you see our field, we work 16 hours, 18 hours, and sometimes we don't sleep for 2 2 nights. But why is it possible? Because we have built up that much of stamina.
Stamina.
And
Yes.
that's
And
the
it's very
reason why we can still keep thinking even after 2 days of no sleep, no rest. We
yes.
still think in the creative process. We don't go out of
You're
it.
tuned like that. You're tuned and
Yeah.
trained.
So that is the reason I say these things are very important as a theater for a corporate.
Yes, yes, definitely. Because as per like our program also, we there was a lot of difference we could see in terms of be it communicating, be it voice modulation. Like we used to he used to make us stand on the stage and count 1 to 100 on a higher pitch, 1 2 3 increase karte karte. So that gala fadte the hum log roz ke roz, but that was necessary. Now we understand why it was all important, and the
Absolutely.
confidence and the clarity and understanding the other person's viewpoint through the eyes and all. So those kind of things, I think, I really thank my organization for conducting it and making it mandatory as well. So that's really
Absolutely.
that brings a lot
मैं
of
तो
things.
कहता हूँ कि मैं तो कहता हूँ कि स्कूल्स कॉलेजेस कॉर्पोरेट्स सब लोगों को मेरा तो एक ही मानना है कि थिएटर करो थिएटर करो थिएटर करो और
बिल्कुल
थिएटर
बिल्कुल.
करने से what will also happen is, as I said, when you do theater you will also know what is it that you really want to become or what you want to do with your life.
Yes, and
So
Oscar Wilde had said once that it was only in the theater that I lived. So
absolutely.
absolutely beautiful thought by him. So it's like applicable today as well. So
Yeah.
now we are running bit out of time, Salim, and I'll take you to the last segment of the session. And this, like, I mean, any kind of art, that enables us to immerse or lose ourselves and find ourselves at the same time. So, what is that magic that theater brings in, or for that matter, any kind of a performing art it brings in our lives? Is that a magic that it creates in our lives? And we all need serious motivation and inspiration in our day-to-day lives, but does that hopefully I'm hoping that it gives us strength to resurrect as well in our day-to-day lives.
Absolutely, Preeti. I'll just tell you an incident in my life. I was doing theater, I was doing films, I was doing television and stuff like that. And by that, I was assisting and doing all that. I finished my film Godmother. I came back. I went to FTII to do a cinematography workshop for 15
Mhm.
days, 15, 20 days
Right.
workshop. See, my entire training of from theater, which helped me understand my creativity, not only my literature aspect, my physical aspect, everything. I came back that evening from Pune. I was at home and Saregama, which is HMV Saregama.
Mhm.
So one of the gentlemen who knew me, he called me up and he said, uh, "Can you present a concept tomorrow?" So I said,
Okay.
"What time?" So he said, "Tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, you need to present it." I said,
Mhm.
"क्या है?" तो बोले, "जगजीत सिंह का वीडियो है, उनकी फेमस गजल थी, वो कागज की कश्ती वो बारिश का पानी."
Mhm.
ओके, और ये मेरी शाम को 6 बजे बात होती है और मुझे दूसरे दिन 10 बजे इसका प्रेजेंटेशन करना है। अब मैं उस वक्त इसलिए तैयार हुआ बिकॉज मेरी ट्रेनिंग, थिएटर की ट्रेनिंग, मेरे सारे जो लर्निंग थी उस पूरे जमाने की, वो मेरे उस वक्त में मेरे काम आई।
Mhm.
मुझे ये समझ में आता है कि कैसे सुना जाए, कैसे समझा जाए, कैसे उसको एनालाइज किया जाए। एंड दैट डे I made my concept. I called up that guy in the night at around 10 o'clock and I said, I'm ready with the concept. तो मैंने कहा मैं आपको सुना दूं, तो बोले नहीं
Mhm.
नहीं, तुम कल डायरेक्ट प्रेजेंट करना, आई नो यू विल डू इट। ये उनका कहना था। मैं 10 बजे पहुंचा और 2 और कॉन्सेप्ट्स थे लोगों के। मैंने अपना कॉन्सेप्ट सुनाया और एक ही कॉन्सेप्ट सुनाया, मैंने कोई दूसरा कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं सुनाया, मैंने सिर्फ एक ही कॉन्सेप्ट सुनाया। वो कॉन्सेप्ट मैंने सुना के खत्म किया, उन्होंने कहा ओके, यू आर डूइंग दिस वीडियो, and that started my journey to do videos which I did for Jagjit Singh and for Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Lata Mangeshkar, all these people. But I always tell people that there is that preparation which will come handy at what time, when you don't know. So it is very, very important to understand that doing theater prepares you for that one moment or that one opportunity which will suddenly come up to you, and you are prepared.
Absolutely.
It's not that you're not prepared, you're prepared.
You're prepared.
And you're prepared and you're able to do it because that theater inculcates that discipline in you. It inculcates the idea of creativity in you. It helps you, create concepts for yourself, which is why I say it's very important that do theater.
Yes.
Keep your mind open, and you're prepared for any opportunity at any given point of time. So, which is the reason why also I, when I was directing these projects also, and I started directing ad films after that, and I started directing corporate films after that. But because of theater, and because of that preparation, because of that, attitude of doing things, that I could do what I wanted to do.
Yes.
So I keep telling people, okay, please prepare yourself for this field. Don't just walk in. Don't just come in and say, okay, I can do it. No, you need to prepare yourself. Like any other profession, be it a doctor, be it an engineer, be it a chemical engineer, be it an IT professional, whoever you are, you need to prepare same way. You need to prepare for this field also. And the moment you prepare yourself properly, the moment you learn properly, the moment you educate yourself properly in this field, then there is no way that you can fail. You have to go somewhere on.
And that hope, the light, आपने वो दिया वाली एक story जो बताई थी, I mean that.
मैं उस पे इसलिए आ रहा हूँ प्रीति कि this 4 months of lockdown.
Yes.
And especially our field people. Why I remember this story so much, this light thing, because I suddenly realized that person who told me this story, that because this is a place of learning, education, reacting, staying with it, but that one hope of coming back again and doing it, that एक रोशनी जिंदगी में हम हमेशा ऑन छोड़ते हैं, हम हमेशा ऑन रखते हैं क्योंकि हमें वापस जाना है. मेरे ख्याल से वो रोशनी शायद तुमने भी ऑन रखी थी जब तुमने डेंटल से HR में कॉलमनिस्ट बनी, ट्रेनर बनी, राइटिंग करी. ये तुम्हारे अंदर का कहीं एक वो दिया था जो तुमने ऑन रखा था, जिसको तुम आज उस पे तुम रिविजिट कर पाई और उसको तुम साकार कर पाई.
थोड़ा थोड़ा जल रहा है
इसीलिए है ना, इसीलिए तुम वापस आई, बिकॉज तुमने जिंदगी में उस दिए को ऑन रखा था, उस एक रोशनी को ऑन रखा था. तो इसलिए आई टेल पीपल कि कहीं किसी फील्ड में भी हो, डोंट फॉरगेट कि आज जिंदगी में शायद हम लोगों को इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा हूं मैं, मगर मेरे दिल में कभी इच्छा थी या मैं एक्टिंग करूंगा या वॉइसिंग करूंगा, कुछ करूंगा. अगर ये इच्छा थी तो इस दिए को जला के रखना. पता नहीं कब मौका आएगा, पता नहीं कब आप कर पाएंगे, और उस वक्त ये रोशनी अगर हुई, you will see it and you will go to it.
Yes.
You will pursue it. Otherwise, नहीं हो पाएगा. That is the reason why I say that it is a darkness to light. Yes. The darkness to light is not just the light getting on the stage, but that light gets on within you, which from your darkness can lead to a light. So you may be a professional in a different field, but that darkness is there. But do remember that because you left that one light on in your life, you can go back to it.
Absolutely, it's really beautiful. I mean, you've summarized my life in the session. You've summarized my life in short, and there is a very beautiful khayal from our one of the viewers. He's saying, "Zindagi mein laane par hi zindagi खूबसूरत रहेगी." So it's such a beautiful khayal हमने अपना present किया है. And now we've moved on to the end of the session. And Salim, I would request ki any message you want to give to your audience, to the viewers, any final message from your side?
मैं तो बस एक ही चीज कहता हूँ कि थिएटर करो और खुलकर करो काम, उस रोशनी को जलाए रखो, उम्मीद को जलाए रखो और give your best. Like, I think everybody must have said that, and that's a very, very common thing to say. But I'd say prepare yourself for that eventuality. Today we are sitting in this COVID and this lockdown, but because we are, as human beings, we are so ambitious, but we are so positive, we are so, we're looking forward to do things that nothing can stop us. So my only thing is have patience, believe that things going to change and things will happen. And actors and performers and हमारी फील्ड के लोगों से मेरा यही कहना है कि जो पेशेंस हमने सीखी है, जो एटीट्यूड हमने लाइफ में लिया है, उस पे डटे रहें, उसको छोड़े नहीं और उस पे काम करें. That's very important for all of us.
Thank you so much.
And also, I would like to thank Udayan and TLR Now for this wonderful opportunity to bring theatre as a topic to people. जनरली क्या है कि थिएटर ना बेचारा बड़ा पिछड़ा सा रहता है कभी कभी ये फिल्म और टेलीविजन के चक्कर में.
We're dependent on you right now, Salim. Don't worry. Seriously, I said it in the beginning as well. We're totally dependent.
मेरे लिए ये पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक और ये मेरे लिए सेशन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, and I really enjoyed it doing it with you.
और इतने खूबसूरती से आपने अपने ख्याल जो हमें प्रेजेंट किए हैं, they are really, I mean, it touched my heart, Salim, honestly speaking, because you touched upon the nostalgic elements from my life and you touched upon my life components as well, and इतना बेहतरीन आप अपने ख्याल रखते हैं. It's really beautiful and really commendable. Thank you so much, and I am hoping that our viewers had a extremely enriching session. And I thank you, Salim, very much from the bottom of my heart for finding out time for this session and the series. And it was wonderful having you with us today in the evening. And I would say goodbye to our viewers by quoting Jeffrey Zeldman, who says that don't worry about the people stealing your ideas. Worry about the day they stop doing so. So be creative, explore yourself, then only you will find your true self, you will discover. And times shall change, the best is yet to come. Have patience, have faith, this too shall pass. And shukran and thank you everyone. Have a good night, stay home, stay safe.
Thank you so much, Priti, and wonderful being here. It's a great pleasure working with you guys, talking on this session, and I say good night to everyone and adab from me.
Thank you so much.